So this afternoon, like what I want to talk about in particular is about the next 13 days and the energy of the next 13 days. So we're going to go through kind of like what the essence of each day is, what it means, and kind of like maybe what good things to do on those days. Okay, so you can kind of like hopefully plan your journeys, plan your days if you get a bit of an idea about it. So this is effectively like the energetic weather forecast for tomorrow, as it were. So you can start to get an idea. How long are you going to be here for?
13 more days.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Wonderful.
Exactly.
So, this is the glyph for the Nawal Ish. Okay? And this is what this Trecena is about. So we're going to put the Nawal Ish there on our pyramid. Okay? So, this is kind of like the governor. This is kind of like the theme which is opening the days up. It's kind of like the theme for the next 13 days. And Ish is about our connection to the Mother Earth. It's the connection to the spirit of Mother Earth. It's the connection to sacred spaces and sacred places, okay? So during the Ish Trecena, it's about kind of like recovering and understanding how that connection works and how we can, let's say, bring it in with more, amplify it within our bodies, let's say. Okay, so connection to sacred places. Well, here at Atitlan, that's a kind of like special place to be connecting to. You really see the beauty of Mother Earth expressed in this place a lot of the time. Ish is also connected to the altars and the shrines, the sacred spaces, the temple sites and that kind of thing. And it's kind of like, I also see it as about waking up, let's say, the magic within us. The Ish, when we see Ish ever portrayed in like the vases and stuff like that, we often see it as the jaguar, and when we see people who are portrayed as shaman within these arts, we also see them portrayed as jaguars or with patches of jaguar skin on them. And this is what that connection is. So it's about waking up the magic within. And we do that through going to magical places, right? I don't know where you've been to, whether you've been to Machu Picchu or whether you've been to Tikal, or whether that's not your thing, or how that might kind of work out. But there's something different that happens when you go to those places. They change you. And quite often they change you whether you think that you're tuned into it or not. Something often happens at that place which makes you look at life in a different way, which wakes up within you. Okay? So that's what this next 13 days is about. It's about reconnecting with Mother Earth. It's also a good time to be protecting those places. Protecting Mother Earth, protecting like the sacred sites, working around those places, because a lot of the time they're not looked after right now. They're not valued right now. There's something about Ish representing kind of like what's living around us, and that everything has a spirit, everything is living around us. And yet we don't see it. We see it as a rock that we can do what we want with, or a tree that we can do what we want with because we're humans, without necessarily recognizing that spirit. So Ish calls us back to understand our connection to everything around us that's come from Mother Earth. It calls us back to make our ceremonies, and it calls us back to say thanks. And we see Ish as the altar or the shrine. This is where the priest of whatever, any altar is wherever any priest goes to make their prayers. They go to ask it there. We see the natural altars here where the Mayan priests go to make their prayers. They go to ask for things. They go to ask for harmony in the community. They go to ask for sustenance, for the community to be looked after. And so Ish is what provides that, but it's also where we give thanks. And so it's a time to give thanks for what you've received, for the magic in your life. Okay, so we see Ish here combined with the number 1. And the number 1, as you might imagine, is all about beginnings. It's about new birth. It's about like a little seed which is going to grow into something. So it's a new beginning, a new way of understanding our connection with the earth, a new way of understanding our connection with what's around us, a new way of understanding our connection with the sacred within and the sacred around us. So again, a great time to visit these new sites that you might not have visited before, to go and check them out, to go and see kind of like, okay, how do I feel now that I know that this is a time, you know, one of the other things that I see quite often is that people arrive in Guatemala on their Mayan birthday or around their Mayan birthday, around the point in time where they've completed another 260-day cycle, where they're renovating, where they're bringing something new in. It happens. I mean, I do a lot of readings for people and I'm like, no way, you chose to come to me on your Mayan birthday and you didn't know that? It seems more than just luck, right? And so that's what people are coming in to do. So it's like you've come to a very sacred place in the time which is about connecting yourself with the magic of the world. Okay? And this is the beginning of the connection. It's like a reconnection, a new connection. Remembering your connection to Mother Earth. Okay, so one ish. That's one way that we can describe it. Okay. After ish comes tzikin, but of course this is 1, so this is 2 tzikin. So tzikin, as I said, it's a business day. It's a visionary day. It's about being able to see things and being able to get perspective on stuff. Now, tzikin is considered to be one of the more fortunate energies to carry, okay? And it's said to be fortunate because it has prior knowledge, yeah? It can see ahead, it can prosper. And so it's seen as, happy and prosperous, why not? The only thing about being able to see so well is that sometimes you can also get distracted. I always think of kind of like, okay, a lot of people will talk about tzikin being eagle or quetzal, a noble bird. But I'll also see tzikin just means bird, right? And so, like, it can mean anything. And one of the things I see within that energy is also the magpie. So, like, there's a shiny thing down there, I think. So there you are, flying along on your course, and you get distracted by what shines. And so it's kind of like with tzikin, is learning not to be distracted, learning how to focus, but also learning how to see the bigger picture at the appropriate moment. So it's kind of like balancing those two things up, like balancing the two wings in order to fly higher. So this is one of the things that we can see about the Nawal Tzikin. Now, this day will carry the number 2, and the number 2, we go from the unity of 1, we go to the duality of 2. 2 Tzikin is a great day for diplomacy. It's about seeing both sides of the story, right? It's about flying so high that you can see everything, and you can see everything in clarity, what's over there and what's over there. So certainly prospering through the understanding of both sides is something that 2 Tzikin brings in. There's a great deal of understanding that can come on that day. And I think it's also sort of seeing dualities, kind of like seeing things for really what they are, seeing things in black and white could also be said about that. From 2 Tzikin, we're then going to move into 3 ACMA. So, ACMA is the Nawal of pardon and forgiveness. ACMA days, for me, these are not days on which to make mission critical decisions, okay? If you are aware that it's an ACMA day, you might kind of like, you already know, right, okay, I'm not going to do anything too complicated today because it's an ACMA day, okay? But you're still relying on people around you in one way or another. So as I say, like if you can save the mission critical things for a non-ACMA day, then you might find it so much the better. ACMA is all about forgiveness. And it's really what we do, what we're like, one of our highest aspects of humans is to learn to forgive, to be forgiving to each other, to be forgiving to ourselves. And on 3 ACMA, forgiveness of the self is something which comes in really strongly. The number 3 is seen as being unstable. It's seen as a number which has difficulties in the external expression, and it's much more about the inner expression. It's much more about the home. The number 3 is said to represent, you'll probably recognize that star constellation, Orion, okay? And hanging down there is his sword, and right about in there somewhere we have a big orangey kind of star, which isn't a star at all, it's the M42 nebula, and it's surrounded by these 3 stones, these 3 stars. Those 3 are Saif, Alnitak, and Rigel. Okay, and they are said to be the home stars. They're said to be the stones within the traditional Mayan homes that support the tortilla griddle are said to represent these stars. This M42 is known as the Smoky Fire, and they say it's the place that we came from, and NASA say it's the place where stars are born. So it's a place of emergence. It's seen as a place of home, because this is the hearth within the home. Okay, so the number 3 can very much be about inside. It's about focus inside. So we've got forgiveness and focus inside. So 3 Achmach is a day about forgiveness of the self. It's like kind of like Achmach. I know it sounds kind of like, they sound like difficult days to negotiate, right? It's like, well, we've got to forgive and all that kind of thing. It's like, right, okay, this is a day to drop the burdens that we've been carrying. If we're feeling guilty about something, if we're blaming somebody, if we're shameful about something or whatever, this is the day to say, right, okay, I've had enough of carrying this. I need to make a call, send a message, have a meeting or whatever, so that I can get this out of me, because I don't need to carry it anymore. Okay, so that's the 3 Achmach day. And as I said, it's like, it might not be the best day to set up things which are very complicated, but it's a great day to look for forgiveness. Okay? So, from 3 Achmach, we're then going to 4 Noch. Now, these days so far, they've kind of like, I don't know, you've heard what I've said about them, but this is where we start getting things starting to look maybe, I don't know, maybe a little bit more interesting. Noch is about ideas. Noch represents the left hemisphere of the brain. It's about putting things in line. It's about putting things in order. It's about putting things in their rightful place, lining stuff up, lining your ideas up so that you can create them into reality. So it's about making plans. It's about taking all your knowledge, all your ideas and all those kind of things and putting them into a cohesive plan, okay? The number 4, well, the 4 represents the physical plane. It represents the 4 cardinal points. We have sunrise, midday, sunset, midnight. So we see 4s very much making up our material world. It's about being on this physical plane. So this is about getting your plan into physical action. This is a great day. If you've been kind of like over these days, if you've been like planning and working out kind of what it is that you want to do, here's the implementation of the plan into the physical level. Okay, so that's what will that be? Friday, I guess, won't it? So that will be the time when, like, you know, if that one was kind of like stop and think about it, are you sure? This one is like go, time to do it, time to move forward. Okay, bring your idea, bring your thought, bring your plan into the physical realm. Okay, now the number 4, the other thing that we see about it, or that is, it's a bit like an undecorated house, in that there's more to do. There's more to make it really habitable. 4 is the superstructure without the decoration. It hasn't got all the bells and whistles on it yet, but you got an idea about what it's going to be. So it needs more development to make it really, really great. But here it's a potentially workable plan.
So would like Friday be the blueprint and another day is the construction?
I think Friday would be more about that the foundations have been laid, or even that the walls have been built, but there's no windows. So it's kind of like it will keep the rain off you, but it won't kind of like, it's not cozy to live in. Yeah, it's very basic. From 4 Noch, we're then going to go to 5 THash. So THash is the obsidian blade, and the obsidian blade was carried by the warrior and the healer. And it's kind of weird because we see both of those aspects with the Nawal THash, and it's kind of weird to have the warrior who takes life and the healer who retains life or who helps life represented by the same thing. And there's certainly a dualistic nature of THash, but really it's about, as I said, the obsidian blade, and the obsidian blade cuts. Now, if you were looking at the ancient Mayan society, when you were fighting in a war, all wars were holy wars. When you were fighting for your king or queen, they were the incarnation of the divine on earth. So you were fighting on behalf of your god king, your god queen. Therefore, the enemies that you were fighting were demons, as it were. So you're ridding the world of demons by going into battle. You're creating the holiness in the world and taking the evil away. When you're a surgeon, you might be cutting out a tumour or something like that. You're cutting away the imbalance which is causing the disease in order to bring things back to the full health. Okay? So THash days, they can be, yes, there can be separation. Yes, there can be cutting. Yes, there can be those kind of things. Incidentally, they're usually a good day for surgery, because that's what it's about. It's kind of like the surgeon's knife is under particular control. He's got his skills on those days, okay? So THash can be great days for that, can be great days to go to war as well, if that's your thing. And here we see it with the number 5. So the number 5 represents one hand, and it represents work. Now, work, well, we could say that the kind of like the scientific definition of work is the application of energy to a system. It's saying that you have to put your energy into it. If you want it to work, you have to put your energy in, okay? So whatever it is that you're discerning, whatever it is that you want to, let's say, if that's the basic plan, this is where you trim around it. This is where you decide what you want to keep in the plan and what you want to kick out of the plan, okay? This is where you cut away the excesses in order to bring out the full beauty of something. But it's not going to just land in your lap. This is saying that you've got to put your energy in to make it happen, okay? So it's kind of like, let's say, a time to take control of what you want to keep and what you want to get rid of. And it's all to do with your connection to Mother Earth, okay? What can you edit out of your life? What is ready to release from your life in order to heal and reconnect with Earth, okay? From 5 THash, we then move to 6 KWalk. As I said earlier, when I did that statistical analysis, it turned out that 6 KWalk seemed to be the most likely that you would find here in San Marcos. So it has a special place. So KWalk is the rainstorm. The rain falls before the maize grows. You know, in dry season, we go and we plant the corn in the field. Everything's dry, and if you look at the kernels of maize, they look like little skulls, right? They're little dry skulls. Most seeds, when you look at them, these little dead kind of wooden kind of things, you don't think anything's going to happen. And you put them in the earth and you add some water, and there's this magic that suddenly turns it into something green that starts growing, right? It's kind of incredible. So KWalk, this one's going to be Achpu, the resurrection of the maize. KWalk is the rain which falls to allow the maize to grow. So it's the midwife to new life. It's seen, if what I said about THash being the surgeon that cuts away, well, this is a very active form of healing that could be seen as that. KWalk is the one that comes along to soothe and makes sure everything happens. Now, we also have to say that KWalk is not, no, we mustn't think of it as weak. When it rained yesterday, did you see the amount of water that washed everything clean? That's also KWalk. That's the storm coming in to wash away the old world to allow the new to come in. But she's the midwife that delivers the new into the world. Okay? And here we have her combined with the number 6. So, I explained the number 4 as representing the 4 directions. The number 6 then connects that with heaven and earth. Okay? And so it's drawing on these divine planes and bringing them into the physical plane. Okay, so you know I said about 4 being a bit bare bones on stuff, it's not decorated. Well, the 6 is when things start really getting to where we want them. Okay, so 6 KWalk, this is about bringing something new in, giving the energy for something new to come in, and the inspiration that you can bring into this world coming from above and below. Okay? From 6 KWalk, we go to 7 Achpu. So, this again is an interesting one in particular because there is a book called the Popol Vuh, which is like the sacred book of the Maya. It's the creation stories, it's the tales of gods and monsters and heroes and all of that kind of thing. And one of the heroes in the Popol Vuh is named 7 Achpu. It represents, Achpu is the quest for the divine. It represents the sun. It's like the solar lord. And the solar lord is kind of like, it also could be seen as kind of like ascension. It's what we're all trying to become. It's like what we're aiming for. Our highest aspect is to become that Achpu, to become that hero of our own journey, to become our own sun, our own divine self. And that's up there. And the 7, well, the 7, as you can see, it's the midpoint of the journey. It represents the pinnacle. And when you're standing on top of the pyramid, what can you see? You can see all your options. You can see everything that's laid out around you, all the roads and where they might go are right there for your taking. So it's about making choices. It's about making choices about the divinity that you wish to embrace, about what divinity you want to keep in yourself, what path you want to follow from that vantage point. So this is where the Ish Trecena is going to take us to that. You remember I was saying about it's about connecting with the magic within you and connecting yourself with Mother Earth. Well, here it's like, okay, you're standing there and everything is put out in front of you. What do you want to bring in? Which path do you want to follow? Because it's all there. Okay? So there's also something about a choice about kind of like choosing about what you hold sacred within your life, I think is part of it as well. Because these things can change over time. They don't always stay the same. So it gives us an opportunity to choose and maybe to choose our path at that point in time. From 7 Achpu, we then go to 8 Amash. Now, Amash is the Nawal of the lake. It's the Nawal of the bodies of water. It's kind of like the primordial swamp. It's the moment before the Big Bang is also the way that I like to see it. When everything was like, let's say, a big thought form before it came into existence. It connects us to all that is. It connects us to the ocean of consciousness. It's a day of dreaming in particular. And it's a day of water. It's a day of oceans. The 8th day, well, one of the things that we have, sometimes we think of 1 as being beginnings and 7 as being as endings. This is because of a particular way that the numbers fall when you look at the whole calendar. Okay, so if we have beginnings there and endings there, this represents beginnings and endings in one place. Okay, sometimes I see it, if that's 1 and that's 7, 1 can represent birth. takes us into the upper world. 7 can represent death, takes us through the underworld. We go back to 1 again. That whole thing is represented by 8. So it represents everything in one place. Okay, so this is everything to do with water, everything to do with the ocean, everything to do with the lake. And it's often on the 8 days that we make ceremony in particular. And so 8 Amash would be a wonderful day to do, like if it's your thing, to do whatever form of ceremony for the great bodies of water. Whether it's a ceremony to heal the oceans, whether it's a ceremony for the lake, whether it's going out and picking litter on the lake and actually doing something practical. We can be ceremonial in whichever way, shape or form we want to be. 8 Amash is a day when the energy is flowing in that way. And so, again, as I said, when you align your actions with the way the energy is flowing, then it's kind of just makes things easier. It makes your work more effective. Okay?
Would like a warm bath help if you're in a city or something like that?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I would say that on Amash days, because Amash days, sometimes we can get overwhelmed with the psychic field of other people. It's like if you imagine like everybody's fields are a little bit more open on Amash days, it's a great day to take yourself out of circulation for a little while. You have to work out whose thoughts you're thinking, because sometimes you kind of like, you wonder, whose dream are you dreaming? Whose dream are you acting? Okay? And so Amash days are great days to take a retreat by the water. Now, if you're in a city and you can't get out of the city, then sure, taking a bath is going to connect you to the water and isolate you from others. Okay? Going to the beach would be an even better option, or being by the lake, meditation by the lake, ceremony by the lake would be a good thing. Okay? So these are all things that we can do. As I said, this is kind of like practical examples of what we can do on those days. Okay? So, as I said, for me, this is very much water ceremony day. So, you know, if there's as many people around the world can organise water ceremonies for the day Amash, then so much the better. From 8 Amash, we move into 9 Ix. Ix is the Nawal of the wind. It's the Nawal of the divine breath. There is a phrase that they used, or that has been used, Sakik, white wind. It means the soul. When your white wind leaves your body, that's it, your number's up. Okay? Ik brings change, but it's also about communication. You think the air flows over your vocal cords, your mind shapes your vocal cords, the air flows over it, and together they create words. And those words can be inspiring or they can be argumentative. Okay? So Ik is a great day for communication. If you got something to say, do it on an Ik day. If you're going to have an argument, don't do it on an Ik day, okay? Because it gives power to the words. The breath empowers the word, yeah? So the greater the breath, the more empowered the word. You might say something that you either didn't mean or didn't mean with that emphasis, and it just comes out too strong. Okay, so it can be a powerful day, but it's a great day to get your message across. Now, who's it a great day to get your message across to? Well, here we have the number 9. We spend 9 cycles of the moon within the womb of our mother. And so the number 9 is connected to both life and the feminine. Okay, and so 9 Ich in particular can be about communication with the feminine. It's a great day for women to make their speeches, to give their words. It's a great day for the inspiration of women through words, communication, female communication. And it's a great day to talk about life. So it could be a very philosophical day in that way as well. But if you have a women's group or anything like that, and they want to meet, then 9 Ik is a great day for them to meet. From 9 Ik, we go to Tanaka Bell. Okay, so how long have you been here?
since Thursday.
Okay. What have we had since then? Oh, we've had a few. Have you, like, do you have an east-facing window? Have you seen the sunrise here?
Not yet. I was sleeping.
They got here yesterday. They
Well,
were
here
all
yesterday.
taking
Okay, okay.
the city.
Because
City before.
between, like, maybe the volcanic ash and all this kind of thing, sometimes the sunrises over the lake are absolutely stunning. I've never seen sunrises like this anywhere in the world, okay? And in order to see them, you have to get up just before. And what you get up into is Akabal. It's that time of the day just before sunrise. It's the time of the day when the sky turns like all of those beautiful colours of red and orange and gold. It's really worth kind of like getting up at 5 a.m, taking a walk down to the dock and watching it. It's a time when ideas come to us, and it's a time when when the veil between the worlds is very thin, yeah? It's like the sun is not in the sky, so it's not day, but it's light and you can see, so it's not night. It's somewhere in between the two. It's like that waking moment. You know, when you first wake up, before you take a sip of water, before you open your eyes, and you can still remember your dreams, that's like Akabal. Okay, so it's like a world between the worlds, and it's where our new concepts come from. Okay, so this is all about new concepts, bringing them into the world. And where do we get to them? Well, the number 10, it represents this. It represents two hands coming together. It represents cooperation. It represents community. So this Tanaka Bell Day is about going out to your community, networking, all of that kind of thing, in order to bring new concepts into the world. Okay, so sometimes we can go it alone, sometimes we've got all of those ideas and we don't need any help with them, all that kind of thing, and sometimes a few extra minds is going to help. Here we've got them. In order to truly bring light to what's hidden in the dark, because it's like Akabal is bringing the light to what's hidden in the dark. Here it's suggesting that we connect with our community in order to bring a new concept into the world, and that new concept, again going back to here, is about how we look after the earth, how we connect with Mother Earth, and how we bring out our magical being. Okay, from Tanaka Bell we're going to 11 cat, catch and release. Okay, cat is the net, and you'll see if you've been to any of the markets, or just out on the street, you'll see avocados, oranges, corn, all of these things, all of the precious stuff, the cosecha, the harvest, the cosecha, is all carried in a net. So we carry our abundance in a net. So the net represents that, but at the same time, if we carry it for too long, it's going to rot, right? It's going to become worthless. So it's understanding how to collect, but also how to open our net and release as well. This is why I say it's catch and release. So cat is kind of like this Nawal of harvest. It's an energy of harvest. It's an energy of abundance, but it's also an energy of the burden, and it's about letting go. The number 11, I always like drawing this one. We see it as like, if you've ever done this, anyone lit a rocket, a firework with a broken stick? Everybody very Laura boy. Yeah, right, okay. And so what happens? It's like, you don't know which way it's going to go next, right? That's kind of like what the 11 energy is. Now, the people with 11s kind of like wonder, well, what's going on for me? Why do I feel like that? Well, if you are on the rocket, as far as you can see, you're just going straight, right? You're heading in the same direction. It's only to the people around that it's different directions coming in. Okay, so your life doesn't look as crazy as other people see it. So what it really means is about searching in many different directions. It's kind of like looking in all the nooks and crannies, looking in all the corners to find things. And this is kind of like to find what we're going to release and what we're going to keep. So again, cat gives us a choice of what we want to hold in our net and what we're ready to let go of. And 11 is saying kind of like it's time for a good look around to see what you really want to hold on to. Okay, what you want to incorporate into your prosperity. From 11 cat, we're going to go into 12 can. So we're getting near to the end of the 13 days. We're getting near to the end of this cycle. Can is the energy of power and wisdom. Can is the Nawal which governs what we might call Reiki or Ki or Chi or Kundalini as well. Okay? It's a very, very energetic Nawal. When we master our energy, we often become wise. And Can is the energy of wisdom, but it's also the energy of power. Because before we become wise, we've got to work out how to work with that power, right? Because sometimes it can get the better of us. Sometimes we can use it to create illusions. Sometimes we can use it to manipulate. Okay? So Can days are all about understanding power. They're about wisdom. They're great days for teaching stuff. They're great days for giving thanks to our teachers. They're great days to see through illusions as well. When we use our wisdom to see through illusions, when we use our energy to see through those things. And we have it there combined with the number 12. So the number 12, it represents the bundling of all of life's experiences. We've gone through this cycle and we're nearly at the end point. Now the number 13 is a bit of a special number. The number 12 is kind of like where we've gathered everything together. We're writing the manual. I came to Earth, I did this, I did that, I experienced this. It's all coming together in the 12. So 12 is all about this life experience. So it's using your life, it's combining life experience, wisdom and power together. Okay? It's a great day to empower others using your life experience, to help each other, to teach people. It's a great day of teaching. It's also a great day to use your life experience to see through illusions or manipulations of others. It's kind of like seeing behind the screen. The magician is no longer fooling us. We stop watching the birdies and we can see what's really going on. Okay? So 12 Can is that. But as I say, not to put too negative a slant on it, it's also about passing on the wisdom that comes through your life experience. And recognizing it in yourself as well, I guess. And then finally, we come to 13 Khmer. Okay, so Khmer means death. Thought there might be some thunder there, but it's there we go. It's the endings, right? Khmer is the return, it's the connection to the ancestors, and it represents spiritual transformation. Like usually when we talk about Khmer days, like if I say your Nawal is Khmer and Khmer means death, and people go, what do you mean my Nawal is death? This is kind of like, that sounds really unlucky or unfortunate. But again, Khmer is seen as a very fortunate day because it represents transformation. It's like being on the fast track of spiritual evolution. They face hardships, they face things that frighten them. Khmer, the Lords Khmer, who were the Lords Khmer were the opponents of Khunachpu and Wukubachpu, okay? They were the lords of death that dwelled in the underworld. The underworld, Shibalba, it means place of fright, place of fear. But what in the Popol Vuh, what happened was that the hero twins went down to resurrect the head of their father, Hunhunachpu. And in so had to face the lords of death, had to go through all these challenges, had to face all their fears. Ended up kind of like, well, they ended up dying and then being resurrected as magical beings, which when you see them resurrected, you see them with patches of jaguar skin on them showing that they're magical. Okay? And so the Khmer process is something which is essential in our lives for our souls to evolve so that we actually become the potential that we carry. Okay? Here, it also means ancestors because it connects us with our ancestors. It connects us with the people who journey in the other world, where the wisdom comes from. Now, the number 13 is the number which represents the spirit world. It also represents the ancestors. 13 Khmer is basically like if there was a Halloween of the sacred calendar, for me it would be 13 Khmer. It is like ancestors and ancestors. It's like death and the spirit world in the same place. So we're looking at this thing about altars and shrines, about embracing our magic. And here we get to the point where I said up there the veil was thin. Well, here it's the thinnest of all. This is a great day to go visit your ancestors. This is a great day to go and visit graves or whatever, and acknowledge your ancestors, pay thanks to your ancestors, because this is a day where you may get communication from the spirit world. If you wanted to get...
Did you not fly on that day?
Well, when I said about meeting your ancestors, it's like, you know... No, it's a great day. It's like, you know, it's like, I mean... I think you'll be all right.
You can ask them for protection.
Yeah, seat by the exit.
By the exit.
This is like, for me, this is a really, really important day to go and connect with ancestral shrines and stuff like that. Anywhere where you can connect in that way, this is a day when you go and get your messages. It's also a day when you might call on your ancestors to face your fears, because sometimes it's kind of like, you know, they're around us, yeah? The spirit is all around us, and they're waiting for us to ask for help, to ask for guidance. And most of the time we don't bother, but on this day, this is a day when we really might kind of like feel their influence. And it can really help us to transform. Okay? So, and that will take us up to, that's 22nd of September, or 13 Khmer. Okay? So there we have the Trecena of Ix. And being as 22nd of September is my Gregorian birthday, I'm going to make another one of these presentations on the 21st so that we can get that in tune. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.